Hello YouTube, Wes here checking back in with a brand new episode of the Vinyl Survivor Show. Once again, we're doing one of our lightning round episodes of the Vinyl Survivor Show. So that's going to be 20 albums, quick takes on each one, up on the chopping block, and I'll let you know whether they're going to be staying in my permanent collection or whether they just weren't for me and they're going away. Let's go ahead and get into this. No further ado needed. First up we have here is Beatles with Rubber Soul. This is the mono reissue from 2014. What more needs to be said? I mean, it's the Beatles. It's one of their iconic albums, Rubber Soul. These mono releases that they did a few years back have gone nuts on the secondhand market. The values have just skyrocketed on them, and rightfully so. They're amazing copies of these albums. If you can still figure out a way to get your hands on them and you haven't already, definitely do it, because they're just incredibly sounding releases of the early Beatles stuff that was released in mono. Rubber Soul, killer album from the Beatles. Drive My Car, Norwegian Wood, Nowhere Man, Michelle, awesome stuff on here. Highly recommended, and yes, this one is staying in my permanent collection. Next up, we have Roxy Music Greatest Hits. While I am a fan of Roxy Music, I do enjoy their albums. As a greatest hits album, they really don't have big hits, so it's difficult to listen to a greatest hits of theirs. I would rather just listen to the albums, and so for that reason, I don't think I'm not going to be keeping this album, this greatest hits album of theirs. It was an enjoyable listen, but I'll just collect Roxy Music albums when I find them. So this is not staying in the collection. All right, next up, we got something from Simon and Garfunkel. This is their album Wednesday Morning, 3 a.m., a classic of theirs, well loved and rightfully so. Just a great album. And this one is definitely going in the collection. This is a stereo copy of it. Really enjoyed listening to this, and I do not have a permanent copy of this in the collection, so this one is going in there. It's going to be back on the shelves back there. So that's the next one up in there. This next one, unfortunately, I wasn't able to listen to this. This was pretty badly warped, and I did not realize it when I picked it up. I'm pretty sure I have at least one other copy back in the overflow area in the back room there, so I definitely will listen to this at some point. But Traffic's Low Spark of High-Heeled Boys. So fortunately the warp is just too bad on this one, too far gone to fix, unfortunately. So I wasn't able to listen to it, and it's not going in the collection, obviously, for that reason. All right, the next thing is a piece of classical music, Borodin, the complete orchestral music. Kind of Asian-themed classical music. And it definitely has that very dramatic sort of Asian feel to it. Persian kind of feel, I guess. I enjoyed it, but I'm not keeping it. I've really got to limit myself on the classical stuff. I don't want the classical section getting real big. So I pick them up from time to time when they're cheap, and that was a situation here, but I don't need to keep this. I don't really pull out classical music and listen to it that often, but I do like to listen to it from time to time, so I like picking them up and then passing them on. So that's the situation with that. It was good. If you love classical music, this is probably a good one. It's an RCA Red Seal. Sounded good. Not going to be staying in the collection. All right, this next one, it was so good. I bought 2 more copies of it. I have 3 different pressings of this at this point. I probably should get rid of at least one of those pressings. This is the synth pop duo Stranger Cat, and this is their album In the Wilderness. And as colorful as the album cover is, the music is that colorful as well. Really good, really enjoyable, and Yeah, this one's staying in my collection. I do love synth pop, and that was a really good one. Doesn't seem to sell for that much. I guess I'm kind of on my own as far as liking that one, but I think it's really good. I really love it. Another sort of classical thing that was enjoyable, but again, I just can't keep very much classical. So passing this one on again. This is a Columbia Masterworks of Ravel's Quartet in F major and Debussy's Quartet in G minor. So again, a nice enjoyable listen. You know, kind of it's a quartet, so it's just very, very peaceful, very sort of toned down, intimate is the word I'm looking for. Classical music, and yeah, enjoyable, but I just don't have the space to keep everything classical that I pick up. So I like to buy them and buy them cheap, listen to them, and pass them on. So that is the case with that one. Again, continuing on with that theme of classical music here, Michael Tillis and Thomas, Fountains of Rome, the Los Angeles Philharmonic. Yeah, enjoyed it, but not going to be keeping it. And I think the last one for now is for the classical stuff here. We have Zubin Mehta conducts the New York Philharmonic, Stravinsky's The Rites of Spring. So a very well-known, well-loved classical piece, very, very recognizable. And Rite of Spring is pretty recognizable. Yeah, a really nice recording, really nice, enjoyable listen. And yeah, I enjoyed it, but I'm not keeping it. It's going to be going away. Okay, getting back to some more modern stuff. This is I guess a promotional version, even though it doesn't really say promotional version. But this is Jennifer Lopez's Rebirth album. It's a full-length album, even though it looks like a 12-inch single. But yeah, it's just got this hype sticker on it, and yeah, I feel like I don't really need to keep this. It was just. I'm not the biggest fan of J-Lo. I have her stuff on CD, and I think that's good enough. So I'm not going to be keeping this one. Enjoyed hearing it on vinyl, and it'll probably end up in the Discogs store. All right, next up we got one here from Cliff Richard. This is We Don't Talk Anymore from 1979. Yeah. Kind of a glam rock kind of thing, but it feels like it maybe just a bad period. I didn't get into this one at all. I didn't enjoy it. It was just sort of there. Just nothing really reached out and grabbed me. So I didn't love it. I didn't hate it. I listened to it all the way through, but this one's not going to be a keeper for me. All right, this next one is a bit of hard rock here from '79, Frank Marino and Mahogany Rush. So if you know hard rock, you know Frank Marino, killer guitarist, really great stuff. He does a cover of Along the Watchtower, Norwegian Wood on here. Enjoyable listen. Unfortunately, this one has some skips on it that I was not able to fix. So yeah, we're gonna be getting rid of this one. Not gonna be sticking around, but one I'll keep an eye out for a replacement on because yeah, Frank Marino is excellent. Okay, we're gonna take a brief return to some classical stuff. This is something I'm actually gonna be keeping. This is E. Power Biggs plays Bach in the Thomas Kirk. So the Thomas Kirk organ in where is it, in Germany somewhere? In Leipzig. And that's Bach's own church in Leipzig. Yeah, I love church organ, pipe organ music. You know, Bach's pipe organ music is incredible, and yeah, this is an incredible listen. E. Power Biggs is the name when you're talking about organists. So this is a keeper for me. This is going to be going in my classical collection. So that one is staying in the collection. All right, how about some hip hop here? The first one I have here, this was a hip hop sort of group kind of collaboration, I guess would be the best way to call it. This is We're All in the Same Gang, released in 1989, I think, or 90. But yeah, anyway, this kind of came around at the time of the rise of hardcore hip-hop, gangsta rap, whatever you want to call it. And a lot of the hip-hop artists were being blamed for sort of promoting gang violence and gang activity. And this was them kind of coming back and saying, no, we're telling the stories of the streets, but we're also trying to say, look, there's another way. This is not the way to do things. And we're against gang violence. So a lot of groups came together. You got NWA, Eazy-E, King T, Young MC, Tone Loc, Digital Underground, MC Hammer, Ice-T, Above the Law, JJ Fad. A bunch of artists got together and did a big posse cut called We're All in the Same Gang, to sort of help stop gang violence. And then there are a lot of additional tracks on here from different lesser known artists, sort of helping to support the cause of telling the true story of how they're not trying to promote gang violence or gang activity or promote people to join gangs. They're saying, this is messed up. Stay out of the gang. Find another way, and this was their way of doing that. So, cool little sort of cool piece, and fun little record. And this one is staying in my permanent collection. I picked this up on, I believe it was cassette when I picked it up, back around the time it came out, and have had a physical copy of it ever since. And I'm just glad to find this one on vinyl. Add it to the vinyl collection. And then a very much a classic one here from 1987. This is Houdini's Open Sesame. Houdini's are classics of the early hip-hop period. Really fun one here. Rock You Again and Again. Yeah. Great album of theirs, and that one is absolutely staying in my collection as well. I do love that one. All right, next up, going back into some 80s sort of pop rock, I guess would be the best way to put these. This is the Fixx with Walkabout from 1986, so a little bit of a later one from the Fixx, but yeah, I was surprised by this because I don't think there were any really big hits on this one. At least nothing I remember recognizing, but I really enjoyed this. This was really good. They didn't do that thing that a lot of synth pop groups or pop rock, 80s pop rock groups did in the later 80s, where they started doing more jazz influences to their music, and they didn't do that here. They stayed with the sort of the pop rock kind of sound here, and it's a really fun record, and yeah, I really love this. So this is staying in my permanent collection. Okay, next up I have a movie soundtrack, and this is the soundtrack of Bright Lights, Big City. I guess Michael J. Fox is in this movie. Yeah, Michael J. Fox. When was this released? 1987 is the year on this one. Lots of great artists on here. You got Prince, New Order, Brian Ferry, Depeche Mode, Donald Fagen, Mars, several other artists that I'm not as familiar with. An okay album. I didn't love it. I haven't seen the movie before. Maybe that is part of the problem. I didn't really connect with a lot of the songs on here. I did really love the Depeche Mode track on here. Pleasure, a Little Treasure, the Glitter Mix. So that was a standout track for me. And yeah, the rest of them are good songs. They're good sort of 80s tracks, but I just didn't have a connection with it. So I don't think I'm going to be keeping this one. I may regret it sometime down the road when I actually see the movie, and maybe I'll be able to get a better feel for the vibe of this. But yeah, for now, this one is not a keeper for me. Okay, next up I have another movie soundtrack. This one is for the classic 80s movie, The Great Outdoors, John Candy, Dan Aykroyd. Classic 80s movie, a fun movie, hilarious movie. I love this movie. You got Land of the Thousand Dances on here, of course, from the movie. Hot Fun in the Summertime. The Drag Boat song. Yeah, just a fun movie. Again, for some reason, listening to the soundtrack, it didn't do it for me. I love the movie. I don't really care about the soundtrack. I don't know what it is. Normally, if there's a movie I love, I really love the soundtrack too. For some reason, this one just, it wasn't there. So this one is not a keeper for me. Even though as much as I love this movie, I don't feel the need to keep the soundtrack. I will stream it if I have to, but I don't need to keep it. So that one's not staying around. All right, next up is a Vinyl Me Please release. This is Tennis with Yours Conditionally. I don't even remember exactly how best to describe this. It's pop, but it's got kind of a chill kind of California folk pop kind of vibe to it, I guess would be the best way to put it. Another one that I didn't connect with this at all. I could care less. I know a lot of people love this, but for me it was just meh. You know, even when I first got this, I was just not impressed. It was one of the least loved Vinyl Me Please releases for me for over the 4 years I was subscribed. So yeah, this one is not a keeper for me. Okay, and the last one I have to share with you for this episode is a Feedbands release. Feedbands was the crowd-funded vinyl pressing label that was around for a while, crowd-sourced, crowd voting on what they should press kind of thing label. And this was a split LP that they did with Hunter as a Horse and Little Lights. So two groups. They're both kind of indie pop groups. Yeah, I really did like this. Both of these groups are really good. They have a similar enough sound where this is enjoyable if you just want to listen to one side and flip it over and play the other side as well. They go well together. Just some really nice indie pop kind of stuff, and that's about all I want to say about that. So that's going to do it for this episode of the Vinyl Survivor Show. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you very much for watching. Please subscribe, give me a like, and leave me some comments down in the comment section down below if you have any. Thanks for watching. Have a great day, great night. Treat yourself to lots of great music, and we'll see you again next time. Cheers.